25th of Maria Lostal Street. When we first arrived at the house, my brother and I shared a room, but in a short time it became the living room, and each of us had our own bedroom. For me, the distance to school did not change much. It was even closer. For my brother, on the other hand, unfortunately, it didn't change either. It was still a long way away. Many new people appeared in my life in that neighborhood, well, in my life and in the lives of all of us. From our closest neighbors at the adjoining doors, to the neighborhood shopkeepers, to friends from school who lived in nearby buildings. My brother and I made a quick friendship with a boy his age who lived in the building 2 doors to the left, door 7. Eduardo, Edu, was his name. He lived with his mother and his 2 sisters, Marta and Eva. His father had been in the military and had died a few years earlier. Edu was quite a character, very, very funny, cheeky, but a good person and a loyal friend. His family was also lovely. They will also be joined by another neighbor, 1 floor up, named Alvaro. Through Edu, we got to know other boys from the neighborhood. Pedro Antonio, Tonono, who lived 2 doors away from ours. Pedro Sant, who had a shoe store with his parents 3 streets away. Felix, a handsome and educated boy who came from a family that ran an important cleaning company in Zaragoza, and in which years later, my mother would provide her services. Pedro and Angel, 2 Basque brothers, noble, strong, and very funny. Narbi, a strange boy, tall and charmless, but well accepted by everyone. On the mezzanine floor of the building lived a family who were the plumbers of the neighborhood. Mr. Antonio, his wife, and their 2 children, Antonio and Jose Luis, whom I had a crush on, although he was 19 years old at the time and I was 11 or 12. They had a workshop on the same street, and they became quite friendly with us, until something dark happened with me and such Mr. Antonio that made my family and me put an end to that story. In that house, my father's decline from alcohol unfortunately began. He found work in a pub in Calatayud, a town about 100 kilometers from Zaragoza, and he spent the week there, returning home on weekends, where there was always some displeasure, argument, and the occasional blow to one of us. Since my father had lost his place in the municipal band, as I mentioned before, my mother had to look for a job to help at home. It started before we left my grandparents' house, and it was in a nearby company that made house coats, and my mother and I many times will go to the factory to pick them up and bring a lot of them home to remove threads, review defects, and put buttons sometimes. It wasn't much, but it helped us. I remember many afternoons of walking home with piles of those robes in our arms and helping my mom remove loose threads and whatever I could do. New friends, new life. In that house, many things happened that would shape my life and my brother's. Some were good, while others not so much. Some funny, and others full of tears. While we lived there, I made the best friends I will have for the rest of my life. They went to school with me and stayed in nearby buildings or streets. One of the first one was Pili. She lived at number 27 on our street, Maria Lostal, in Zaragoza. We lived at number 25. Pili knew how to play the guitar and taught me my first chords when I went to her house. It all started because I love music, and I've always liked to sing. The nuns at the school heard me and decided that I was perfect to sing at the Mass we celebrated every Wednesday in the school church. I was interested in learning to play the guitar because in Madrid, my father bought one of these instruments and it ended up in my hands. I learned quickly with my friend, and soon I was able to accompany myself in many songs. And I began to play and sing in the church choir. It was something I enjoyed, and at the same time, sometimes freed me from some classes. That guitar also accompanied me in my loneliness and sadness. I spent long periods in my room singing and trying out new melodies with the few chords I had learned. Although they had already broken up at least 5 or 6 years ago, the Beatles, a famous and iconic British group, caught my attention and were my first musical choice in adolescence. I listened to them on the radio or on a small cassette that sounded like a tin can, and on which sometimes I tried to record songs from the stations of the time. I must comment that my father tried to give piano lessons at home since he had a degree in music. It did not go well for him due to his temperament and perfectionism. He also tried it with me, since the piano was an instrument that appealed to me and I would have loved to learn to play. But according to my father, I will never succeed. The truth is that I found solfa and reading sheet music terribly difficult. But I've always been able to learn a song just by listening to it once. So my father decided to abandon his attempt to make me a pianist, and I, honestly, didn't mind too much. Speaking of pianos and pianists, Adela, another dear friend from school, and I quickly hit it off. At that time, Adela was learning piano and was already playing wonderfully. No wonder she has arrived at this day as a talented and prestigious concert pianist. She had a piano at home, of course. She lived on the same street as my grandparents, between a bus station that connected Soria and Tarazona with Zaragoza and the Paris market, where my mother and almost all the neighbors went shopping. I still remember the stalls where we bought our groceries and the names of many of the merchants: Mr. Martin of the deli and sausages, Raphael at the poultry, those of the vegetables, Ismael's fishmonger, those of the butcher, and other stalls. But without going into details about the market, I will continue talking about my friend Adela. One of the best ways to spend Saturday and Sunday afternoons was to go to her house. She played the piano and I sang, and we both enjoyed it immensely. At that time, they screened a film on television, still in black and white of course, about the life of Chopin, a wonderful Polish romantic musician of the 19th century. I was captivated. Since my father was a conservatory musician, my mother a singer, and my grandfather also a musician, eighth notes ran through my veins unintentionally. And despite his personal flaws and problems, my father instilled in us a great education in the history of music, the biographies of many composers, and their best works. Thus, after learning more about Frédéric Chopin's life through movies, I fell in love with one of his pieces, Tristesse, Sadness of Love, and decided to combine my literary and musical talents to write the lyrics for such a beautiful song. My friend Adela and I imagined that she was Chopin at the piano and I was a kind of diva of the theater. Such beautiful times, and with what few things we were happy.